What's up, everybody? This is Jake here with Career Solutions. For those of you that haven't got on the crypto craze yet, it's something that I've been looking into quite a bit for the past couple months. Now, I've been doing some research on YouTube, I've been following some other YouTubers, and it seems there's a lot of people that are starting to create videos pertaining to cryptocurrencies. Now, a lot of the YouTubers that I've watched have actually mentioned that it would be important to create a crypto profile for you to keep track of your cryptocurrencies and your overall portfolio. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to actually, rather than going through the cryptocurrency side of things and talking about investments and my personal opinions about what cryptocurrencies may or may not be kind of your next winners, I am going to give you an idea on a tool that you can create to help manage your portfolio. Now, I did watch a YouTube video recently that I do not quite recall the maker. If I can find it, I will put a link below and you can take a look at his YouTube video because he does a great job at explaining kind of a good practice for getting into cryptocurrency investing. And that is to not do comparables from USD to Satoshi. Now, for those of you that do not know what Satoshi is is 1/100th million of a Bitcoin. So that's basically 8 decimals. Right now, when you're investing in other cryptocurrencies, along with Bitcoin, you do not have a good measure to balance that out against. So what I went ahead and did is I took the information that he taught me in his video, and I am creating a tool that can help me balance or weigh my investments against Satoshi rather than USD. Basically, what you're looking at right now, this is a tool that I've created. I'm going to show you how to go through it from start to finish. What you're looking at right now is actual investments that I've made. We're not currently here to talk about whether or not these investments are successful or strategies or anything like that. These are just merely to be used as examples for showing the actual functionality of the workbook. Now, this portfolio solution is going to have 3 parts. For this video, we're going to talk about setting up your actual tool or your portfolio. And then there will be a part 2 video that is going to go into creating the actual functionality that's going to make this work. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I've got a new blank sheet here. And there's 2 things that we're going to want to do, basically. The first thing is we're going to want to create a parameter sheet. Now, the parameter sheet you can kind of think of being like our rules sheet. This is where you're going to store all of your static or hard information or automated formulas that are going to calculate functionalities that you're going to need for other formulas in your workbook. It's very important to properly organize your solutions. Especially, it'll help your understanding within your formulas throughout the rest of the workbook, as well as it makes it a lot cleaner and easier to read. So let's go ahead and get started. Everyone has their own design style. I tend to like to get rid of the lines that we have here in Excel, depending on what we're going to be utilizing it for. So since we're going to be making a parameters page, let's go ahead and rename this to parameters. And then we've got our white background. Now, everyone organizes a little bit differently. I have a pretty in-tune organization method, so I'm going to be showing you guys that today. Feel free to utilize it. So things that we're going to need to track are things like the Satoshi. We're going to need to keep track of how much the Satoshi is equivalent to utilizing BTC or Bitcoin. And then we're also going to need to calculate measurements for what a USD is equivalent to in Satoshi as well as in Bitcoin. And that's going to be at market value. So we're going to do USD, Satoshi, and then Bitcoin, okay? Now we know that 1 Satoshi equals 1/100th millionth of a Bitcoin. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. Okay. Now do some basic formatting just to help make it look a little more presentable. This isn't something that you're going to look at very often, so you really don't need to get too crazy with it. But it's something that I get crazy with. So anyways, so let's just do some quick formatting, and then we're going to go ahead and call this our legend, and then we will say it is our equivalence and market value. Okay, so, and then we'll just give that a slightly different look. Okay, so before we can actually figure our Satoshi and BTC per dollar value, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get our market, we're going to need to get the actual market values for the currencies that we're investing in. Now, first and foremost, we need to actually create a sheet to store that data. So let's go ahead and do that. And you can call this whatever you want. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to call it crypto. And we can also give this a fancy color. We'll just make it green. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply the same level of formatting that I usually do. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to put in, we're going to need our USD equivalent, and then we're going to need our Satoshi equivalent, and then finally we're going to need our actual Bitcoin equivalent. Now, for those of you that don't know how to use the equivalent sign, simply hold Alt 247, and that's an alt code for equivalent. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to apply some basic formatting here as well, just to make it look a little more presentable. We'll do that, and then we're going to call this let's merge, and we will call this our altcoins market value. Okay. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to actually list the altcoins that we are investing in. So BTC for Bitcoin, LTC for Litecoin, ETH for Ethereum. We could do XRP for Ripple. We could do XVG for Verge. And then if we wanted to, we could do Dent. Or whatever you want. You could do a number. I mean, there's over 1,000 coins. So for the sake of this video, let's just go ahead and do BTC, LTC, and ETH, most commonly known cryptocurrencies. So we can make these a little bit more noticeable if you want, make them a little bit larger, and then USD. So first of all, let's look at what our market cap is looking like right now. Okay, so as you can see, Bitcoin is 14.9 thousand. If we go down and look at Litecoin, it's at about 243. And then if we look at Ethereum, we're at about 934. So those are the prices that I'm going to go ahead and utilize right now. So we're going to put those in here. So Bitcoin's 14,957.30. Litecoin, again, was 243.98. And Ethereum is 934.32. Okay. Go ahead and format those. There we go. Okay, now for the sake of simplicity, as well as dynamic cell referencing, if we get to a point where we utilize that, as well as for better understanding formulas, for the sake of this video, we're going to go ahead and utilize named ranges. So we're going to call the market value in USD for Bitcoin just BTC. And I actually want it to be all caps. That's okay. Litecoin's going to be LTC. That's all right. We'll just leave them all lowercase, whatever. And then Ethereum is going to be ETH. Okay, so now before we can actually figure what the Satoshi equivalent is for our currencies at the current market value, we need to go back to our parameters tab, and we need to figure out what the Satoshi is per US dollar. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this out. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get the Satoshi equivalent for the US dollar. So $1, how many Satoshis do we get at Bitcoin's current market price, right? So this is going to be Bitcoin times the Satoshi equivalent of Bitcoin. So that's going to be times this right here, okay? But we need to actually set up our name ranges here as well so that we better understand these. So we're going to call this Satoshi, And then we're going to call this one, we'll call this BTC equiv Satoshi. Okay, so now that we have our market values for the coins that we're planning on investing in or have already invested in, we need to go back to the parameters tab and we need to figure out our Satoshi per US dollar. Okay, now to do that, what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to take BTC, right? So that is our current market value of Bitcoin, and we're going to times that by the Satoshi equivalent. Okay, now that's going to give us 0 currently. Okay, now in order to actually get the number of Satoshi for that is, let's put those in parentheses, and then we're going to divide that by the actual dollar. Okay, so currently at market value of $14,957 for Bitcoin is going to give us a Satoshi of 6,686. All right, so now what we're going to need to do is let's go ahead and give this a named range like we have here. We're going to call Satoshi dollar equivalent Satoshi. Okay, so that's going to be the equivalent. And then for Bitcoin, all you're going to do is you're going to take the dollar equivalent of Satoshi, and you're going to times that by the Bitcoin equivalent of Satoshi. Okay, so in order to get the Bitcoin equivalent of 1 USD dollar, all you're going to do is you're going to take your dollar equivalent of Satoshi, which is right here, 6,686, and you're going to times that by the Bitcoin equivalent of Satoshi, which is right here, okay? So now technically, 1 USD or $1 equals 6,686 Satoshi or equals 0.00006686 Bitcoin. So that is what you would get for $1 in Bitcoin. Okay, so now that we have these parameters actually set up, what we can do now is we can go back to our crypto page or our crypto sheet. We can actually figure out the Satoshi for our coins at their market value. So what they would actually currently be trading for in Bitcoin or Satoshi. Now, of course, you're not going to see anything online on any of the exchanges that are mentioned Satoshi. Because it's not officially the name of the currency. Satoshi is Bitcoin, but as a form of measurement, Satoshi is just 100th millionth of a Bitcoin. And this is what's going to give you a way to compare your cryptocurrencies to each other rather than the USD. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is you're simply going to take the current market value. So in this case, we're going to take BTC and we're going to times that by the dollar equivalent of Satoshi. Okay. Now, obviously, you know that your math is going to be correct if the Satoshi for Bitcoin equals 1 billion. Okay. So let's break this down into number. And let's just do commas, get rid of the decimals because we don't need that. Or 100 billion, I apologize, not 100 million, not 1 billion. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we'll just drag that same thing down. Now, obviously, we want this to be for Litecoin, and then we want this to be for Ethereum. Okay, there you go. So you can now see that to purchase 1 Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshi, and then your equivalent, or what actually gives you a form of measurement, is now your Litecoin is 1.6 million and your Ethereum is 6.2 million. And then lastly, what we can do also for further analysis is we can take, let's do this. Let's give these some name ranges too. So we're going to call this Bitcoin Satoshi, and then we're going to call this Litecoin Satoshi, and then we're going to go ahead and call this Ethereum Satoshi. Okay, awesome. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to take our Bitcoin Satoshi, I'm going to need our equal sign, so BTC Satoshi, and we're going to times that by the BTC equivalent of Satoshi, right? And that's going to give us 1. Okay, why? Because that's 1 whole Bitcoin, right? And let's go ahead and give it its normal number of decimal points. And then we'll go down this way, and then we're going to just change these to Litecoin. Okay, Litecoin Satoshi and the BTC equivalent of Satoshi. And then this is going to be Ethereum of Satoshi. Okay, so as you can see here, just kind of check in this a little bit. To get one Litecoin at 243 is going to cost you 0.016 Litecoin. Or Bitcoin to get one Litecoin. Ethereum is going to cost 0.06 to get one Ethereum. So you can now see that we have a form of measurement to work with, whether we wanted to use USD, Satoshi, or Bitcoin. And then our parameters are set up now. So if we came here, for those of you that may remember, those of you that don't, Bitcoin hit just over 20,000, depending on the exchange you were watching. I use GDAX. So we'll just say 20,000 on the dot. So you can see here how the values changed for some of these. Okay. And then if you go and look at your parameters now, you can see that you only get 5,000 Satoshi per dollar because of the amount that Bitcoin costs, which is 0.00005. Whereas if you'd invested in this, say, let's just go back to maybe the beginning of November where it was around 9,000, and let's say we did 9,500, you can see now that you get 10,500 Satoshis. You get almost more than double the Satoshi, and you even move up a decimal place actually in the Bitcoin that you would receive per dollar. So that's why so many people, that's why there's so much conversation about it. Anyways, that's off the point. Okay, so now we've got our crypto page set up for managing our cryptos. Now it's super simple. Say you wanted to add Ripple, you could do XRP or copy this, XRP. We'd take a look at what Ripple is, which is about $3.26. Let's do this, $3.26. Let's go ahead and add in our named range, XRP. And then we're going to do this, right? Let's do XRP. And then, oh man, changed the wrong one. Okay, so let's change this to XRP. All right. And then we're going to call this our XRP equivalent. Satoshi XRP Satoshi. That's right. Satoshi. Okay, there we go. All right. And then here, we're just going to go down here. We can drag that down. So we copy our formatting. And then now we just change this to XRP. And you can see now that we have the Satoshi and BTC equivalents for one XRP. Same with one ETH, one Litecoin, one Bitcoin. Okay, now that's obviously not, it was around there somewhere. Okay. Yeah, it's about that. Okay. So anyways, so now that we've got those set up, let's go ahead. Okay, so anyways, now that we have those set up, what we're going to need to do is we need to create one more sheet. Now this sheet is going to be our reporting sheet, and we're going to actually cover the full functionality of this sheet as well as implementing everything into the second part of this video. So let's go ahead and just set that sheet up real quick. So we'll call that report. And then let's go ahead and give it a fancy color. And we'll do that. Okay. And then what we're going to do in the second part of the video is we're going to actually get everything together here, and we're going to be able to show you whether your investments would have been more profitable had you invested solely in Bitcoin at the time that you invested, or if your actual investments that you've made, that you've gone with, spread out through multiple cryptocurrencies, if those were more valuable than actually going through just Bitcoin. Because the idea is that you want your Bitcoins, if you're going to... So the idea is that you want your Bitcoins... Okay, so the idea is that you want your cryptocurrencies to outperform Bitcoin if you're investing in other cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin. So what that means is that since we can't use the US dollar as a form of measurement, we need to convert it to Satoshi or the Bitcoin equivalents for those investments that we've made. So once we have those equivalents for each investment made, which I'll show you in part 2, we can see if we would have been more profitable going with Bitcoin or the cryptocurrencies that we decided to invest with. Now, you'll find that if you invested in multiple cryptocurrencies and you would have been better off investing in Bitcoin, then obviously you've made a mistake. And what a lot of investors and other YouTubers might say is that, well, you're not doing a good job investing. And I'll have an example of this in part 2, because I myself have actually made some bad investments, and then I've made some other good investments that have kind of counteracted those. And I'll be able to give you a really good example of why strictly learning to go off of Satoshi or Bitcoin is going to do you a lot more good than trying to base your investments solely off of the US dollar. But anyways, that's it for today. I'm going to wrap it up here, and then we're going to get into creating a part 2 later on. If you want to see more things like this, go ahead and leave a comment, hit a like, hit a subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.